Merciless Congregation of Lynchburg. We are glad you are here. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on Monacan land. My name is Courtney Senna, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Engagement for this congregation. If you are with us for the first time, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in this congregation we love. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on our website at uulynchburg.org under Sunday Services, or fill out the yellow card found in the back of the chair in front of you and place it in the offering basket. If you did not bring your items for the cleanup buckets today, please bring them next week. If you need help with purchasing items, or you just want to make a donation, you can talk to Reverend Terry. And also out in Drysdale Hall, we have a donation basket as well as a Venmo card to donate. Our Interfaith Ministers group has taken several $1,000s of supplies to Western North Carolina. The next trip with supplies is being organized. The needs change from week to week. There are still families without shelter or warm clothes. Thank you for your continued help. Our Ministerial Search Committee urges all of our members and friends to complete the survey to help us discern the kind of minister we would like to call. There is another small group meeting today after Soup Sunday. We'll start about 1 o'clock. And there will also be a small group meeting via Zoom tomorrow, Monday, at noon. An email will go out later today with a link to the Zoom room. We need your input and look forward to talking with all of you. A couple of exciting things coming up. On November 2nd, Saturday, we have a Spectrum Cafe coffee house. We would love to see you all there. And then the next day, on November 3rd, we have new member recognition. If you are interested in becoming a member of our congregation, please talk to Reverend Terry so we may include you in this recognition. During our social time today, folks on Zoom can enjoy their conversation, and those in the sanctuary are invited to join us for a Soup Sunday. We have a lot of delicious soups out there in the kitchen. I'm very excited. If you are available to stay and help clean up afterwards, about 10 to 15 minutes would be very helpful. Now I invite us to release our worries about the world and our own lives as we enter into the service by taking some slow, calming breaths.
Those of us in the sanctuary, let's take a moment to wave good morning to our friends on Zoom and Zoomies. Wave good morning to our roomies. It's so wonderful to be together in spirit, if not in the same room together. It's good to see everyone. Let us now join together in our words for the chalice lighting. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. And let us rise in body or spirit as we share together hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit. and I'd like to invite those who are young at heart to join Courtney and me up here. Good morning. I'm glad to see everybody here. It, yes, well, I want to talk with y'all this morning about a family. It was a large extended family, so it might be something like our community here. And they were a family that had enough to eat. Maybe they had more than enough to eat. Maybe they had enough to share, like we're doing this morning at Soup Supper. Soup Sunday. Yeah, I can tell you like.
Brother is serving the soup with my mom.
That's so
That's
exciting.
wonderful that your brother and your mom are serving the soup. Well, sometimes we have enough and sometimes we have more than enough, right? Especially when we gather things for a potluck. You might not have been able to tell whether some people sitting at the table didn't have enough, or they had just the right amount, or they had too much. Sometimes it's hard to tell those things. So, one autumn day, this family, extended family or community, sat down together to have a meal and to be grateful, to express their gratitude for everything that they had. And there was food, there was something to drink, and then everybody at the table heard this call from outside their door. And outside their door, there was a yard with a gate and a fence around. They heard a call that said, "Hello, we're hungry and we want something to eat. Can we join you at your feast? May we come in?" Well, would you know what to say? The family wasn't sure what to say. Who were these people? Was it safe to let them in? Did the family have enough to share? Was there room enough for these new people to come in? But then, you know what they remembered? They remembered that not all of them had been part of the community or the family. Some of them might have come from somewhere else. Some of them were born into the family, right? But other people may have married in or just wandered in because they were a good friend. And they remembered that even those are the people sitting around the table, sometimes they weren't nice to each other. They weren't kind. There'd been times when they hurt each other's feelings. Does that ever happen at your family? Yeah, my family too. Sometimes we hurt each other's feelings and we don't mean to. There are times when in our communities we make each other sad or angry or even afraid. There's no way to make life completely safe. They remembered when each person around the table joined the family. And so they decided it was better to welcome people in and build a longer table rather than building a wall that wouldn't let anybody new in. We have enough, they said. We might even have more than enough. We're many and strong, and we can hold a safe space here for everybody who comes to our home. So they went out of their door and they went up to the gate and they welcomed the people in. They opened the gate and said, "Welcome, come in and share our feast with us." And then they added another table. This morning we added an extra kids' table because the one we had was too little, so that the kids could have more room. But they added a table for whoever was at the gate, and I don't know what age they were. They put a cloth on the table, and the newcomers came in and set a dish on the table, and it smelled delicious. You could tell it was going to be really good, but some of the fragrances didn't smell like the spices that the family used, and they realized they were gonna end up eating something new and different that their new friends had brought. And so everybody around the table, the old friends and the new, had something to eat. Now, one of the things I want us to think about is we only heard one story about this, about the people who were in the original family, the original community. We know their story, but we don't know the story of the new people who came. Where were they from? And what kind of food did they eat where they were from? Because the family could tell they had wonderful spices that had never been in any of their dishes. So how far they had journeyed, and other details about their story, because every one of us has our own story about how we got here and who welcomed us into this community. Because some of you were just born into this community. Some of you are new friends. Some of you have been around for a while. Same with the adults. But what's important is that we welcome people in and we take the time to learn each other's stories and to listen to who those people are, and they'll listen to us. So think about that as you go to your class today. And do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about listening in our class this month, and today we're going to talk all about listening to nature. That is so fun, isn't it? Nature makes all kinds of sounds, and a lot of them can make us feel happy. So today we're going to talk about what it's like to listen to nature and what nature might be telling us. So are we ready to go upstairs? All right, let's go.
Sing them on their way. Each week we take an offering of our gifts for the work of our community, both within these walls and in the larger world. And so if you're on Zoom, if you would like to offer a gift, then you can see our PayPal connection, or you can mail a check to the office. Rachel Hayes wrote a short poem entitled "To Bear Love into This World." Today we are grateful with our hearts turned to the work of our congregation. We have inherited this congregation, and I edited here for us, from more than 110 years ago, several generations of people who believed in the power of human beings to bear love in the world. We carry this tradition for those who found and continue to find comfort, inspiration, and joy within our real and virtual spaces. We tend the spark of imagination and hope for the world to come. Each of us has our own story about how we got here and how this congregation feeds us. Today, I've invited a couple of folks who will share some of the things that keep them engaged and committed to our UUCL community. Kim, would you join us up here? Let me move the microphone.
So I'm Kim Senna. The Courtney, who's up here with the children, is my wife. And it was that relationship that brought us here to this church. So I moved here in 2003. Courtney moved here in 2004. And it was right after the re-election of George Bush, which was a disappointment to many of us. And I took it especially hard because voter turnout was, they banked on voter turnout, and to get voters to turn out, they started to put marriage amendments on constitutions. And so the so-called value voters came out. Well, they did it because they were afraid of people like me and Courtney. And so, you know, I really took it personally. I was quite devastated by the outcome and how it had occurred. And so we both realized we needed a community, one where we could be ourselves, find belonging, and we came here. And here we are 20 years later. This congregation has just been so special to us and come through for us in so many ways. And we really do our best to give back through everything we do. And we've formed lifelong friendships, and we're really happy to have a RE program that our daughter can come up through and our whole lives. So there's so many things that this congregation does and allows you to do for yourself and for everybody else. So it's a great community to be part of. And the reason I'm standing here, I guess, is to motivate you. We have some big challenges ahead, budget-wise, especially searching for a new minister and all that's involved there. So I find this congregation to be a value in my life, and I think you do too. So let's respond accordingly to Pledge Day, I guess, with its importance. Thank you.
Isabella, how old were you when y'all first started coming? I never asked you that.
Actually, we started coming around 2003 when I was about 2 or 3 years old. So I've been here a while. If I truly wanted to give an entire speech about how much the UU Church means to me, we'd be here for hours. But yeah, I've been coming here since 2003, since I was 3 years old, with my parents and my twin brother, and then of course my little brother. My name is Isabella Billings. This church has been an integral part of my childhood. Some of my fondest memories are from coming here every Sunday and meeting my friends, meeting new people, and having a place where I could just be myself. I took part in OWL, Our Whole Lives, and I learned that no question is too awkward or unimportant to be answered, no matter what it was about. I was able to, when I came out in seventh grade and I was dealing with a lot of bullying, this church was a safe haven for me. And I truly was able to learn how important this community was when our house burned down in 2016. That morning after, we had people from the church who were there, who gave us a check for money, who brought us food, brought us clothes, and it was like right away. They had just learned about it, and bam, they were there. It was very heart-touching, especially for our family at the time. I stopped going near the pandemic, and I also went to college. And I had been planning on going to one where my college was, but then the pandemic hit. And so then, just a couple weeks ago, my little brother said, "Hey, we haven't been to the UU church in a while, let's go." And so we came back at around September, and I'm so glad that we did, because I've reconnected with old people, old friends that, I knew, and I've connected with new people. I'm a part of the young adult group, and I made so many new friends. Even my girlfriend, who has to work on weekends, says that she absolutely loves it, loves hanging out with the young adult group. And it's almost like I forgot what it was to be a part of the UU community until I came back in September, and it all came back as to how important the congregation is in this community is to me, because it's been a part of my whole life, and I want to make it a part of my life again. So, like I said, if I went over everything that was really important, we'd be here for hours. So, but thank you for listening.
Thank you, Izzy. Each of us has our own story of how we got here. Each of us is generous with what we can offer to our congregation. Each of us helps make this community a reality. And we work to create a safe space where members and friends can share the joys and the concerns of our lives. And so I invite you today to, if you're in the sanctuary, Spirit of life and love, we hold up today the wonder and the abundance of life that we find all around us in nature and within and among the relationships that we build with one another. May we listen deeply to that which is on the hearts of each of our sisters and brothers. We hold up today our concern for the least, the most marginalized people, those who are suffering the most. May we find ways, even if they're small ways, to help bring wholeness and peace and justice to those people. We hold up today the work of this community and give thanks for the ways that each of us contributes to the welfare of this community so that we may give back to one another, give back to our Lynchburg community, and give back to the world. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen. I invite us now to join together in the responsive reading in your bulletin. And on the screen. All that we are together and individually is part of the abundance of the universe. We are made of stars. We are made of earth. All that we have comes from earth, from the labor of those in our communities.
That enliven us. The world and those who live in it.
We are surrounded by blessing, by grace, and by possibilities.
We are reflected in every other being.
We respect and honor one another's differences.
We celebrate our being and the practice of generosity.
On this Pledge Sunday, when we commit to give generously to our congregation, I'd like to invite our Board of Trustees President, Stacy Yoder, to share part of his story.
Good morning. I'm Stacy Yoder, your board president. I began attending here in 2017 when our family moved to Lynchburg and have been a member of this congregation since 2018. The next 12 months or so will be a very exciting time for our congregation. The possibilities are many, and this is our chance to strengthen and grow as a community and a congregation. We have a ministerial search committee that has worked diligently in creating a survey to help us better see and understand our vision. The survey is ongoing, so I encourage each of you who hasn't taken it to please do. In full transparency, I have not yet taken it. So ask me next Sunday if I have. Let's support each other and ensure every voice is heard and listened to. Small groups facilitated by our search committee with support from your board are happening now to allow in-the-moment interactions. These small groups will add to our understanding of the survey results and help steer our direction in the coming year. Again, please participate in one. As mentioned earlier, the Zoom small group meeting will be held on Monday at noon using the discussion group link, and an email will come out with additional information about that. Speaking of small groups, our congregation offers others that are great ways to get involved and connect. For me, joining my Soul Matters small group has been a highlight of the past 2 years. The conversations are deep, connective, and fulfilling every time. My respect for the members of my group is great. Some other ways to connect are soup Sundays, yay, today is one, game nights, and annual events like Friendsgiving and the auction. I typically leave these gatherings feeling better than I did entering them, and feeling like I've received more than I've given. And if you look in the order of service handout, you will see a variety of other offerings or ways to connect and contribute. It is exciting to consider the coming possibilities, but we must also be realistic with ourselves and with those who will be joining us as we move forward. I would love for our congregation to support a full-time minister, but we cannot from a financial standpoint. In fact, 3/4 time is beyond our current means. I would also like our congregation to increase our compensation for our minister and staff. As we can all see, and more importantly feel, they consistently go above and beyond in both the time and effort they give us. So please, join me in participating as you are able, be it preparing a dish, joining a small group, reaching out to someone new, considering your pledge, or all of our favorite, helping with cleanup. Remember, today is a soup Sunday, and I noticed there are empty spots on the cleanup list for today. Thank you.
Each Sunday, as we light our chalice, it becomes a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is in sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us. This week, as I do almost every week, I met with our liberal interfaith ministers. And one of our topics of conversation is that this Sunday, for several of our congregations, is the Sermon on the Mount. I don't know how we all had Pledge Sundays today, but I want to thank Betty for letting us know what we need and what generosity may look like, including moving costs. Thanks, Betty.
As mentioned, I'm Betty Corbin. I'm currently on the Board of Trustees. I have served 14 of the past 17 years as your treasurer and continue on as the bookkeeper. It was a deal I made with Finis so I could get off the board for a brief 1 year, and then they made me president-elect, so I was not successful. I enjoy serving on this. I'm supposed to talk about the numbers today, but first I want to tell you why this congregation is important to me. I wandered in here in 1982. We had recently moved to Lynchburg from Amherst. My mother had lost the battle with cancer. It was a painful one. And our daughter was entering 8th grade at Linkhorn Middle School. Not a great time to move a child. We were sorely in need of community. We had been members of Shannon Farm, an intentional community in Nelson County, but had left because I wanted to go back to school and finish my undergraduate degree. So I tried a few churches in the Boonesboro area where we were living at the time. None fit. I had some flashbacks to my childhood church, not good. My first visit was on the Labor Day weekend workday. Now, this was when workdays were very serious because the church was on sabbatical over the summer. Many of its members were faculty members at local colleges, including Gary's father, and we had no air conditioning in the sanctuary. So we just took all the summer off. And I was immediately welcomed. I felt good. I was given something to do, scraped the paint in the foyer of the sanctuary. It needs scraped again, folks. Let's see why did I come back? You know, I felt welcome. I fit in. There were people here that were willing to engage in deep, thoughtful conversations about what was happening in our communities and our world. There was no dogma. I was supported in the search for the truth, all with lower cases, because there is no one truth. And I enjoyed the variety of services that were being held. Social justice, environmental, everything spoke to me. So you can do the math of how long I've been here. And the three principles that still speak to me and always will are the respect for the interdependent web of all nature, the inherent worth and dignity of each individual, and the free and responsible search for the truth. Now, and also, most important, I have made lifelong friends. I have watched children grow from when they were 2 years old or younger to Isabella. I have seen Corey Barnes come back into our pulpit. I remember when he was a teenager in the youth group. So I have deep and lasting friendships. I've been able to share the joys of new children, marriages, and the sorrow of the loss of older friends through either death or relocation. So our goal this year is to up overall pledge giving by 10%. We need that in order to expand RE programming. The number of children have expanded, and so we need more supplies. As mentioned earlier, we need to do our whole lives training for 2 volunteers, and that costs about $1,000, and that's for our 7th through 9th graders. And if you don't know what our whole lives are, please ask Courtney, Terry, I think, or Isabella. They will do a better job of explaining it, but it's very important. It's to give people a good idea of human sexuality. We would very much like to increase the salaries for our existing staff by a modest 3%, which is, as you know, not much more than the cost of living by the Social Security Administration, and also contribute 3% more, from 5 to 8% of what the congregation puts into our staff's retirement funds. The UUA recommends 10%, and 84% of congregations are there. And we have stayed at the 5% level since we started making the contributions. Not only will that be good for our current staff, but it will help us when we go out to attract a new minister. And as mentioned before, that's one of the main goals. We need to have an attractive part-time compensation package to encourage somebody to relocate to Lynchburg, Virginia with a part-time salary. We have learned from, or at least my take is from prior part-time ministers, it makes a world of difference if they live in this community. And we're trying to make it at 25 hours a week, which is not exactly half-time, it's not 3/4 time, it's halfway in the middle. Those of you who like fractions can do the math. And do all that, and also offer relocation expenses, at least a partial amount. Currently, I've got $10,000 as a placeholder. That may or may not move somebody here. But most important, we need to balance our operating budget. We are not running out of money, but we have run deficit spending for, probably the last half dozen years. I didn't look back, and we just can't continue to do that. And would be much more viable in our search process if we can prove that we can balance a budget. Now, the reason we need a 10% increase is our overall expenses are going up by 8%. Now, this is the preliminary budget. I'm not getting down in the budget today much further because the way the process works, today I'm going to be handing out pledge cards. You'll find me in the Drysdale Hall, and please stop by and see me. I'll be back where Bill Simons normally has the Good Karma store. So by the third Sunday in December, we will hold a congregational meeting to actually vote on the budget. Between the results of the pledge drive and that time, your finance committee will meet, discuss where we need to adjust, then run it through the board and make any other adjustments that are needed. So at that point, it'll probably be about the middle of Thanksgiving, and we will be publishing the draft budget at that time for discussion, hopefully we can work in a town hall, maybe yet, or some type of meeting, small group meetings, to give people a chance who wish to take a deeper dive into the numbers, an opportunity to do so. One bit of apology is when you look at your letter and your pledge card, you got two different numbers for the expenses, which there was an earlier draft that was floating around that says about 191,000. Actually, the way I've currently got it figured, it's closer to 200,000. And the difference was, I think the APF fee hadn't been put in the earlier version. So with that, get your pledge cards back by November 3rd. You can turn them in today or the next 2 Sundays, or you can email Finna Southworth or me, or you can put it in the mail in the return envelope. I thank you, and I hope that everybody will look at their own financial situation and give generously.
Thank you, Betty. I want to say thanks to those of you who shared some of your stories today and what you share with this community. Each of us gathered here in person or on Zoom has our own story to share and personal reasons, like Betty and the others, about why you're here. You know my story. I came here in the pandemic. I survived the pandemic because you called me here. I thought I would like being here, but it has been so much more than I anticipated. So when I pledge today, I'm not only pledging to keep the lights burning and the buildings standing, but primarily I'm pledging because I believe in all of y'all. I've fallen in love with all of y'all. I believe in your stories and in all the ways for over a century our members and friends have made a difference in the Lynchburg community, be it fighting for suffrage or starting Spectrum Cafe and giving a rebirth to Spectrum Cafe in a couple of weeks. It's a privilege to be part of this community. And I want to share a story with you that's been very meaningful to me ever since I became a UU, but it's not one of those smiley experiences, although it's deeply profound. So I chose for our closing hymn the longest hymn in the hymnal. We Laugh, We Cry. It's one of my favorites. But it speaks deeply to me about what a Unitarian Universalist community means. We are a meaningful community from the time people are born until the time they die. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing a song. I first sang it at a memorial service. I was new to Unitarian Universalism and was thinking that Unitarian Universalism might be a faith tradition where I could really live my values. And so I was exploring changing my ordination. The minister at the church I attended in Atlanta kept encouraging me to consider becoming a UU minister. A few weeks after we talked, there was a tragic accident in which a high school student was killed on his way to a high school football game. It was foggy. It was horrible. I had never been involved with a death in a UU congregation. And it was so radically different from my Methodist experiences. The family decided to keep their son's body at home, which I was a little horrified by, we didn't do things like that in the Methodist Church, but they did it so that this young man's friends could come to their house and grieve at whatever time of day for as long as they needed to find healing and comfort. The whole community in that part of Northeast Atlanta surrounded the family, and they sought to be a support to others after the family's tragic loss. At the memorial service, the family chose to sing "We Laugh, We Cry." That was a profound moment for me because I didn't really know the family, but it showed me what authentic Unitarian Universalist community means. I was really moved by the meaningful choices they made. We are here for all of life's events, the joys, the concerns, the tragedies, the celebrations. We do laugh and cry together. We live, we die, we dance, and we sing whatever songs feed our souls. Our stewardship in support of our congregation means that we commit our gifts of time, talent, and yes, donations, so that we can be with and for one another in whatever life brings our way. What a gift. What a privilege. This is why I continue to pledge to our UUCL community so that I can support every one of us, so I can help build a future for those who will come after us. In that spirit, I invite us to rise in body or spirit. Hymn 354, "We Laugh, We Cry." close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we share these words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. It's that time, Zoomies. Hey, can you say goodbye? Wave goodbye to everybody. Roomies, same thing. We've got a lot of people on Zoom today. That's great. Our final words of blessing come from Emil Goodmanson. And now, may we have faith in life to do wise planting, that the generations to come may reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, that the fields of promise become the fields of reality. Go in love and go in peace.